Hey, AJ Helms here, back with episode 7 of Let's Play OpenTTD. So just to recap, in the last episode we added some auto-renewal orders, or auto-replacement orders for some of our vehicles. And also, most importantly, built this spur line here from TBH to HGH. And from here, I think the plan is to keep extending our rail network. I had mentioned a couple of possibilities in the at the end of the last episode. In this episode, I think all I'm going to do is just start building a new line off HGH here. With the end goal of stopping over here, I think what I was going to do is stop in one of these towns and kind of join these up with buses as a local service with one train station feeding all three towns, and then do the same thing over here with a train station in one of these two towns with local bus service connecting them. So in this episode, I'm only going to go to this area here, and I think what I'm going to do is build a station in Neckarwald with bus routes connecting it to the two neighboring cities. Before I get to that, there is one improvement I need to make to this this main rail line. I realized in between episodes I was doing some simulations just trying to see if this could hold all the traffic that it'll eventually need by just fast forwarding and spamming it with trains. And I realized that's not actually possible with the current infrastructure. Obviously, we know that we'll have to enhance it as time goes on, but there's actually an issue because of these X's that we have at all the stations. What that means is that a train going in one direction or the other can use either platform, which on the surface seems like a good thing. But what eventually can happen, especially at these two ends where there's at the end of the loop, is, I'll show it here, there's a risk that the system can actually get completely jammed up. And how that happens is, let's say there's a train coming eastbound, and it pulls into the station, but the main platform it'll take is blocked, so it'll try to take this next one. And thus both platforms of the station are being used by trains that are trying to head eastbound. And that means that a train that's heading westbound can't actually enter the station and has to wait for one or both of those trains to leave before it can pull into the station. And that's fine, it's a little bit of a delay, but it's not the end of the world. But what can happen is if there's enough trains here that there's actually a full line of trains going all the way down this loop and back around and back up to here, then that means that neither of these trains will actually be able to leave the station going eastbound until one of the trains going westbound moves forwards, and then the whole system will gridlock right here. And there's ways around that. I could just build a depot and send some trains in it to make some space, or I could hastily add another platform and try to build around the vehicles that are in the way. But there's a way to completely prevent that from happening, and that's just by removing these X's. And that way, so going from two platforms that can each be used in both directions to one platform in each direction. And that won't prevent slowdowns, but it will prevent total gridlock. And then if the system actually ends up being not able to deal with the amount of trains that are on the line, then it's just a matter of adding more platforms in each direction. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for each of these stations before I do anything else. And so all I need to do is remove the X's in each direction, and then clean up some of the signal. So first thing I need to do is I need to remove the signals that are facing in the wrong direction. I can replace all the other signals with just block signals, because since there's no branching, there's no need for path signals. And then replace all the signals that I've removed with just plain old block signals. And then go on and do that in all the other stations. So again, remove the signals that are facing in the wrong directions, replace the remaining path signals with block signals, and then fill in any signaling gaps remaining. Do it again here. So removing and converting these path signals isn't strictly necessary. Those signals won't actually cause any harm, but there's no need for them. They're only going to be acting as block signals in this case. So I'm just removing them to make my signals more accurately reflect what's actually going on in these stations. The exact same thing here. And then this should be the final one here. Oh. Perfect. Sometimes the click and drag controls can be a little finicky. Oh, that was a removal, which I didn't want to do. That's one thing that can be annoying, is when you've got both convert and remove selected like this, it removes, not converts. And these end stations, of course, don't need that treatment. So now the next order of business is to plan out where these stations are going to go. So like I said, I want to build the station in this central town here, and I need to make sure that it's able to travel through and go down to this town. And this is a little bit of a tricky spot to build in just because of how close together these towns are. It's both a curse and a blessing. So where I think I'm going to build it is right here. Do a little bit of terraforming just to make room for it. And plop it down. And I'm going to want to build one here. I mean, this is kind of a tricky spot because it's a very tiny town, but it's far enough away from anything else that I don't really see any bus service ever getting to it, so since it's kind of on the way, I'm just going to serve it with a train like that. And now we can get to building our rail line. So the easy one to do is connecting these two towns. Let's do that first. Just the right length. Yes, it is. One more. And so this is eventually going to be just a middle of the line station, but for now it's a terminal, so I do have to put the dreaded X in here. But I'm not going to do that here for the same reason that I removed them in all the other stations. So the next question is, how do I connect this up with there? And here there's a bit of a catch, because as you'll recall, this just short spur of a line here is actually left-hand drive, where the rest of my network, including what I've built over here, is right-hand drive. So I do actually have to have a bit of a crossover. If it wasn't bothering to switch it, I could just kind of join in with the end of the loop over here somehow, but what I've got to do here is a little bit more complicated. It's still not anything insane. Let's just pull down this line, which is going to be the westbound lane, or the eastbound lane, so that's on the south side. And I'll come back to that after I've joined up the rest of this. So here I'm actually going to do a bit of terraforming, just because these are at the same level, so there's no point in going down and then back up the hill. So I'm going to come back up, come out at least a few more tiles. I think this should be good. Yes, that's perfect. And then just terraform that route. That's a good bare minimum amount of terraforming to keep this route all at the same level. Just a handy skill to have. So here I need to cross these lines. What I'm actually going to do is I got to build bridges, but I'm going to build multiple bridges. Like this. One. So I actually did have that right in the first place. 2. And 3. And the reason why I'm doing 3 is because everywhere else in the system there's these standard signal gap that I've decided I want to use 2 tiles, but I can't signal bridges. So here, by necessity, because of the length of the bridges, it's going to be a signal gap of, this should be 6 tiles? Yeah, 6 tiles. And so, to ensure that trains that are at a minimum 2 tiles apart can travel over these bridges without getting delayed there, and so that this doesn't become a bottleneck in the system, I basically want to have enough bridges so that the number of bridges divided by the signal gap on the bridges, sorry, vice versa, the signal gap on the bridges divided by the number of bridges works out to the same signal gap as I have everywhere else, which in this case is 2 tiles. So at 6 tiles, 3 bridges gives me, call it an effective signal gap of 2 tiles over that set of bridges. Now I'll bring this in to connect to that, and this could be optimized a bit further here. That's not the most efficient way I could do this turn. What I probably want to do is actually have this come straight up. Actually, why don't I do that right now? So remove this. Oh. Actually, what I'm going to want to do is not come down at all here. Oh, destroying some of those tiles spent all my money, so fast forward a bit to raise the cash. That's more than enough. There, perfect. And one other improvement I want to make, which I'll need to make the bridges transparent to do, is this here can be a path signal. And that's for the same reason that I made this a path signal here. That because it splits, it's basically going to end up working as a block signal, but in the theoretical circumstance that there's trains so close together that are going in different directions, one can proceed down one way, the one in front of it is only clear of the switch, rather than all the way clear of the block signal out of it. It's just a tiny optimization, it doesn't cost anything, so I like going for it even though it's probably not actually necessary. So now we need to get the trains on here. So give these the standard names. I'm a bit short of cash. One of those aero trains that I've been using costs about £80,000 for the 2 locomotives. It's NKW. I'm going to kick this into fast motion again for probably a couple of in-game months to raise up that money. It's coming in at a reasonable pace. Halfway there. Almost all the way there, just kicked above 80,000 and there we go. That is perfect. So, passengers, sort by maximum speed, and there is the aero train, exactly like we wanted. And now we make our orders. Timetable autofilling, and then we know the drill. It's make group. This group is going to be HGH2NKW, I believe, yes. And shove that train in that group. And now it's just a matter of setting up the local services. This is going to be a bit more complicated than some others. So first, to service this town, I could, and I will eventually want more service than just these 2 stations, but they'll do for now, so I'll rename this NKWC, place a depot, and again, for passengers with the highest capacity, so I'll use the same double-decker bus. Get the timetable autofilling. And I'm going to want an NKW local bus for route. No, group is the word I'm looking for. Next is to connect these towns. So I think this town can be more than adequately covered by 1 station. Oh yeah, just like that. So this will be LSH. This guy's done, so just clear it out of the way. And for this, I'm going to go for the fastest bus, not the highest capacity bus, which is this Scenic Cruiser. I mean, these two towns are close enough that that's kind of ambiguous which one you prefer. I'm going to have this go to NKWC. Get that guy to autofilling. So this is LSH to NKWC. And finally down in this town. Now, how's the best way to do this? I could just build a bridge over this track, but to actually honor the grid system, the only way to do that is to terraform some of this river, which I really don't want to do because it's very expensive. Well, first let's choose where we want the station in this town to be. I'm going to build one that kind of services as much of the city as possible. I think this is a great candidate for it, right here. Kind of serves downtown, and then if the town grows and I need more buses, I can build feeder routes into this one town, or build some more, an intra-city train around these as well, like we talked about in other cities. So same thing here. These timetables are ready, so let's get them ready, get them finished. So adding our standard slack. And now that guy can get out of the way. So those are at different heights. But I knew that. Okay, so what if I go over this? Yeah, that is not, I guess it is in line with the bridge, it's not the most efficient way to connect these up, but it'll work. Perfect, yes, that's fine. So this can be ISK. I want a new depot to service this town. It'll be all the way over here. It's the same thing, a Scenic Cruiser coach. Just the tiniest bit short cash, problem solved. So ISK, this one can go to NKW, because that's the closest station in that town. And then this route in between will also serve as a feeder system. If someone wants to travel from here to here, it will require 3 buses. And now make the group for this one. So this will be, oh, sorry, not trains, vehicles. This is ISK to NKW. I already see I want a couple more buses on this route, so let's get those in while we wait. And it looks like this route's going to want at least one more bus as well. I could fast forward some of these things while I'm waiting, but I find it's a good practice to avoid doing. Because when you excessively fast forward in Transport Tycoon, I find you eventually just end up having the whole game being played on fast forward, and you end up not doing nearly as much as you really should be able to get done in a given amount of time. Alright, now that timetable is done, and it also looks like it wants one more bus. So we'll pull another, oh, of course, and one more thing that I forgot to do, that of course when I get done in this episode, is build a feeder for this town if the local authority doesn't like me. But hopefully it's not too expensive to butter up. Well, maybe it is. Because this station is too far removed, it's actually not servicing the town at all, so without feeder service here, the station is basically just a waste of time. I'm just going to fast forward until I have, say, 20,000 bucks, and then just blow that all on trains, or on trees, I mean. Oh, but it's looking like that's taking a bit longer than I'd like to come in. Oh, there we go. So because some of these vehicles are the real money winners and the rest of it is just supporting them, you'll see that sometimes budgets drop precipitously and then climb back. Still poor, this town is really mad at me. Mediocre, so that's all I'm looking for. Alright, so we want those and then a station right downtown. This isn't going to make me any money, but it will make this station have a point. So this can be MBGC. In retrospect, it probably would have been better to avoid this and just go around it, but that's done now. Alright, I'm back broke again. Okay, there we go. So you can see that it's one of those things that happens in this game. Your cash drops precipitously and then it starts to pick back up. So I am in the black. I just need to, I think what's been happening is we've been growing a bit too quickly. And so maybe in the next episode we can deal with that problem. So get this on the road. And give it its group. Which is local NVG. So I'm going to pay off my loan because it is somewhat getting in the way. As much as I can, which I guess was just £10,000. And this timetable is done. One more repayment I can make. Perfect. Alright, so we're back into profitability this year. We're doing pretty well. So I'm going to end the episode here. Thanks so much for watching. So we've got this connected. In the next episode, what we can do is look at the ways that we can improve the profitability of our train system. We've got a lot of good infrastructure here, but it's probably not optimized as far as the service intervals that we're giving. So in the next episode, we will look at just beefing up the profitability of the infrastructure that we have in place so that we have start to bring in good profits to continue expanding. So until then, I've been RJ Helms. Thanks so much for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback or any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, it'd be much obliged if you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And I will be back in the near future with the next episode. Thanks for watching.